It's just we're going to talk about some basic equipment maintenance tips. Um, One thing that you always want to try to do, which I know is difficult sometimes, but you want to try and keep your equipment as clean as possible. Um, the first major rule is to not use any kind of uh, chemical solvents or cleaners to get your equipment shiny or clean. I know that it's faster to do that, but over time that will discolor uh, the the finish of the equipment, especially with the 1200s. They have a grainy kind of matte finish on the surface, and using something like Glass Plus, ammonia, anything like that will take that away, and it'll make the surface dull, and it'll appear worn out. And also, you want to be careful not to be really using any liquids in a large amount near the equipment, because it is all electronic, and what you might end up doing is spilling the liquid into a component, and as a result will just ruin the component after that happens. And you can use any kind of fabric that's, as long as it's soft, or a paper towel or anything. And to get into the little fine areas of the turntable or the mixer, you can use something like a Q-tip, and just kind of get into the little nooks and crannies, if you will, crevices and such, and just take away the big dust particles and all that. You can also use some of that compressed air and spray all the dust out. Um, Also, what you want to do with the mixer is maybe take the knobs off and the faders, and clean or in and around all the switches like this. Dust is actually one of the major enemies as far as electronics is concerned. Dust and oxidation is what causes that loud, itchy, scratchy sound when you turn knobs or move faders up and down, and you get a very loud, scratchy sound. So keeping your mixer clean is definitely an important uh, thing to keep in mind and to consider, as far as making sure that your equipment lasts as long as possible, and try to stay away from using any kind of chemicals and solvents. Um, if you do have to use some sort of a liquid or anything to help take the dust or the color off of a piece of equipment, apply it to that surface first, and then proceed to wipe the component. You would not want to spray or pour a liquid onto the component first and then wipe it with a cloth. Um, the one exception I would suggest for using any kind of chemical or anything is rubbing alcohol, and that would be to clean the contacts for the the contact points on the head shell and inside the tone arm here. Okay. Uh, Over time, these four contacts on the end of the head shell will build up corrosion, and so also will the connection points inside the tone arm. The one foolproof way to really clean that is to, again, take a regular Q-tip like this and some basic rubbing alcohol, isopropyl rubbing alcohol, and carefully dip the Q-tip inside, squeeze out any excess, and depending on how much buildup of corrosion there is, oxidation on these contact points, you can start to strip away and clean some of that corrosion like this. And also carefully, because the four connection points inside the tone arm are spring loaded, you want to gently twist the Q-tip back and forth inside if you're experiencing any kind of connection issues between the head shell and the tone arm connection. Once in a while, the left or right or both will cut out, and the first area you want to check for is how clean the contacts are in your tone arm and also on the end of your head shell. So if if indeed your contacts are dirty and you clean them with the Q-tip and rubbing alcohol, once you take the Q-tip out, you'll probably see some of the dirt and grime and all that caught up onto the Q-tip, and you'll know that you're doing something right. So after a couple seconds of that, you can connect your head shell back on. And you don't want to tighten this too much, or else you'll risk stripping this collar, which tightens the head shell onto the toner. And as far as other maintenance tips, always use, like what we showed you before, always use a road case of some sort to make sure that your equipment travels wherever it has to go safely. And there are cheaper models and cheaper versions of tour road cases, and the cheaper ones are fine for local or light traveling. However, if you're going to take anything onto a plane or ship it cross country and it's going to be out of your hands, there are regulation tour cases and road cases that do cost a lot of money, but if you're really going to get into that, you should seriously consider that investment. Otherwise, you can get $50 to $100 cases for anything like a turntable or a mixer, and you should be fine for your local gigs back and forth from your house.